by 8:50 a.m. Yet it is still a full 48 minutes until any jet fighters are scrambled as two leave Langley Air Force Base just 2 minutes before Flight 77 hits the Pentagon at 9:40 a.m. Andrews Air Force Base has two combat-ready squadrons which would have intercepted Flight 77 had they been allowed to leave upon confirmation of its hijacking. It is standard operating procedure to intercept all air traffic that fails to respond to radio calls immediately. Of course, we just talked about the fact that that was the case with the golfer Payne Stewart's chartered Learjet that crashed in October of '99. F-16 fighter jets, without the need of the presidential mandate, had intercepted the aircraft within 21 minutes. This represents willful, coordinated negligence between the FAA, NORAD, and the Pentagon, who also track all aircraft. And President Bush, who, as this was unfolding, was reading a book about a pet goat to a group of school children. Treason, ladies and gentlemen, treason. In Oklahoma City, the governor, Frank Keating's brother, wrote a book called The Final Jihad. It was published about 1.5 years, 2 years before the Oklahoma City bombing, where a Tom McVeigh bombs the Oklahoma City building. And then on top of that, as if that isn't enough, he dedicates the book to the Knights of the Secret Circle. Now, that's what Albert Pike, the founder of the Klan, called the Illuminati. That's what Aleister Crowley called it. That's what the Illuminati, a public group, their books are public. A lot of their members are secret, presidents and others. Now, this sounds bizarre, but it's just a fact. On March 4th, 2001, the lone gunman, pilot number 1A-EB79, on Fox, it ran for about a year after the X-Files, a secret government group wants to hijack jet airliners and fly them into the World Trade Center to get martial law and to be able to smart bomb any third world country they want. This is out on Fox months before. And again, it's not a coincidence. We've got the CIA running these so-called drills, flying planes into buildings. By the way, back in November of 2000, the District of Columbia Military Defense Forces, the group that protects the Pentagon, ran a drill where a hijacked jet airliner is flown into the Pentagon. And remember, Bush and everybody else said, we'd never heard of a plan to fly planes into buildings when we got this hijacker alert, because it got leaked out of Congress that the president had these briefings that he won't declassify, so there's plans to fly planes into buildings. So Bush tried to spin it and lied, but it's obvious the Pentagon was running drills, Pentagon Protective Services, where planes are flying in out of the building, hijacked jet airliners. So it's just amazing. Also, what was happening on September 11th? The founder of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, the man in the 80s who was still running Pakistani intelligence that publicly runs Afghanistan, Pakistani chief and spy general Masood Ahmad wired $100,000 to Muhammad Atta, the lead hijacker. Source, Washington Post, New York Times, you name it. They say this is all coincidental, of course. He wires $100,000 to Muhammad Atta, who at the time is training at the Pensacola Naval Air Base on large jet aircraft, on refueling planes. Now again, were they really on board the aircraft? We don't know. We just know that the government was intimately involved in their training, and that they were seen and videotaped, men that looked like them at the airports. But what we do know is this general, this Pakistani spy chief, is here in the United States after he wires $100,000 to the so-called head hijacker, Muhammad Atta. They're in the United States, and he's not just in the United States, this top general, this founder of Al-Qaeda and Taliban, this boss of bin Laden, admitted in 100 news stories before September 11th, the CIA minion. Where is he? He is in D.C., and not just in D.C., he's at the Capitol the morning of September 11th, eating breakfast with the heads of the House and Senate Intelligence Committee, including Representative Porter Goss, Republican, and Senator Bob Graham, a Democrat, meeting with the two heads of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, eating breakfast as the jet aircraft fly into the buildings. Again, this is my source on this. I've got New York Times. I've got Washington Post. I've got everything in here. I mean, you just got to go to Infowars.com and go to the prior knowledge section. Just take your time. Spend a Saturday afternoon, 4 or 5 hours. Look at this for yourself. Please listen to me. There's no way to cover all this. Here's another one from Friends of Liberty. A great analysis right off Boeing's website. It turns out that Boeing 767s and 757s can only fly at the G's reported of 6.5 to 7 G's when they're under remote control. And only 767s and 757s come standard with remote-controlled Global Hawk type systems that only NORAD pilot and control. They have a
fly-by-wire
system in them where you can only a pilot can only fly them with the controls at 1.5 G's. That's in case they hit a gust or turbulence and he bumps into the stick, the plane doesn't, break Grandma's neck. And this is a detailed report. Again, you really should go to Infowars.com and you can read the entire report for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's where it gets really serious. FBI claims bin Laden inquiry was frustrated. And in my book, I have portions of this declassified, it was never declassified, it was leaked document to the BBC. And I interviewed BBC top Newsnight investigative reporter Greg Palast, who interviewed some of the chiefs, top folks there at the FBI, who are now dead, of course. John O'Neill, Deputy FBI Director, who leaked this months before, was found dead on September 11th. His uncharred body found in the rubble of the World Trade Center. And he also talked to the foreign press before he died, mainstream foreign press, and said the government's going to allow bin Laden to attack for a pretext for war to get an oil pipeline. Bush took FBI agents off bin Laden family trail. America was itself to blame for the events of September 11th because the U.S. administration was using kid gloves in tracking down Osama bin Laden and other fanatics linked to Saudi Arabia. A special BBC investigation has reported in a damning indictment of the two President Bushes and American foreign policy. The report, which the BBC reported, is numbered 199 Eyes Only, WF 213589, emanating out of the FBI's Washington field office. John O'Neill died to report this information to you. FBI Deputy Director John O'Neill released this before resigning, and then he was murdered and his uncharred body thrown into the wreckage of the World Trade Center, and one of the supposed hijackers' passports was found laying right next to him. That was reported by the New York Times. But they don't say there's any conspiracy here. It's all coincidental that this happened. FBI and U.S. spy agents say Bush spiked bin Laden probes before September 11th. Here's from Greg Palast, BBC website. You can go to my website and read a transcript of my interview with him and all the documents. Here's another one. FBI claims bin Laden inquiry was frustrated. U.S. agents told to back off bin Laden's by George W. Bush. U.S. agents told to back off bin Laden's. See, we could spend all night on these reports. We could spend all night on them. This is all confirmed. Bush thwarted FBI probe against bin Laden from AFP Newswire out of London. Again, AFP, ladies and gentlemen. Bush thwarted FBI probe against bin Laden. Here's another one out of the French news agency and French radio, confirming, interviewing dozens of eyewitnesses, bin Laden treated for kidney disorder in Dubai. Report. Osama bin Laden, for 10 days, met from July 4th to July 14th with the CIA section chief in Dubai. He had flown by air out of Quetta, Pakistan, to the south of Saudi Arabia to meet in Dubai with the CIA section chief while he was on kidney dialysis for 10 days. Hospital officials reported. A lot of this even came out in the foreign news before September 11th. Why is this wanted guy that supposedly bombed the coal and bombed these embassies, why is he there at the U.S. hospital? It's called the American Hospital because it's mainly for Americans there in Dubai, and it's people by American doctors. This is the French news agency. French news agency. Bin Laden treated for kidney disorder in Dubai. Meeting with the CIA. The Washington Times also reported that. Armed pilots banned 2 months before 911. Did you know pilots could be armed before that? Oh, yeah. FAA rescinded rule allowing guns in cockpits just before terror attacks. Another FBI agent blows the whistle. New evidence the Bureau quashed another terror probe before 911. This with Robert Wright. And Robert Wright got up there on C-SPAN and cried and said, I have been told not to talk about what I know or I'll be arrested. And he said, why can Kathleen Rowley be praised for doing that, but I can't? This from LA Weekly. Because she's a shill. When you got all these real FBI agents and Air Force colonels and CIA and deputy FBI directors that have gone public, you ignore